All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the candidate forum for Alderman for City Council of West Chicago. My name is Pam Zimmerman, a member of the League of Women Voters of Wheaton, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. I live in Winfield, so I will be not be voting for any of the candidates participating in the forums this evening. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government and civic discourse. Providing opportunities to meet candidates is a major mission of the League of Women Voters, so voters can become better informed about the issues facing their community and become better acquainted with candidates running for office. We're looking forward to a respectful exchange focused on the issues. We all benefit from a civil exchange of ideas rather than personal attacks. Our goal for the forum is that it will inform and inspire rather than divide. We do hope that the candidates will speak about their goals and plans and refrain from speaking about other candidates or what another candidate has or has not done. Participating in tonight's forum are Julieta Alcantar Garcia, Ward 1, John Banas, Ward 7, Denise Carreto Munoz, Ward 3, Lori Chassie, Ward 1, Christine Detman, Ward 3, Matthew Myers, Ward 7, Jean Short, Ward 6, and Carlos Avina Soto, Ward 6. The format tonight is a forum and not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and the responses reflect their own views and opinions. All candidates attending tonight have signed and returned ground rules by the deadline established in the invitation. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order by position with their 1-minute opening statements. They will then alternate the order in which they answer questions for 1 minute. After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will be given 1 minute for a closing statement, continuing our alternating pattern. A member of the League will be acting as timers, and they're sitting in the front there for our candidates. Candidates will see a slide that will let you know when you have 30 seconds and 15 seconds left, and then stop. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and then move on to the next candidate. To ensure the questions for tonight's forum represent a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters have reviewed the questions submitted for appropriateness and to avoid duplication. We're grateful to those in the community who take the time to learn more about the candidates before casting their vote by attending or watching candidate forums. For those in attendance this evening, we ask that you listen attentively, turn your phones and electronic devices off, avoid commenting and disrupting others during the forum, and refrain from applause until the end of the forum. Finally, I want to say how appreciative we are of the candidates who are not only willing to serve in office, but who have agreed to be here tonight to share their ideas and their goals. So let's get started. Candidate Alcantar Garcia, would you begin your 1-minute opening statement?
Yes.
The white one in front. There you go.
I am proudly a Mexican-American lifetime resident of West Chicago, and I have become your candidate for Alderwoman of First Ward. I am fluently bilingual in English and Spanish. I served as president of the Bilingual Parents Advisory Council of District 94. I am also a community organizer and advocate for the rights of diverse communities, especially here in West Chicago. I received certification from IDPH as a community health worker. If elected, I want to encourage our residents to become civically involved with our city's government and community. I will also break the barriers, the language barriers that have been the problems in our Latino community, and I wish to break those barriers. Please vote for me on April 1st. It's time for change. Thank you.
Candidate Banis, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. Yes, I'm John Banis, the incumbent on Ward 7. And I was originally elected as Alderman in 2013, and I served a full term before deciding to retire from City Council. But when a recent unexpected vacancy for the office appeared, I volunteered to finish off the term and was appointed. Now I'm running for re-election to continue to serve my neighbors and constituents as West Chicago transitions to an exciting future. Drawing upon 5 years' experience as a Ward 7 Alderman, I believe I would be instrumental in assisting the team that represents not only the northernmost ward, but the entire city to matters that come before the City Council. I bring business acumen to government, I'm a relentless cost cutter, and I care about people. I'm a man of faith, and I love to serve this city that I've called home for over 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Correto Munoz, your opening statement, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Denise Carreto Munoz, and a little bit about me. I have lived in West Chicago my entire life. You can find me volunteering at Central DuPage Hospital once a week and working at UIC to help families obtain school-based therapy services through CPS while pursuing higher education. Something that I'm very proud of is advocating for others who are afraid or don't know how to advocate for themselves, and that is visible through my work. What I love about West Chicago is the diversity of our community. I can go to Walgreens, Jewel-Osco, or the library, and I can talk to people in English and Spanish. But when it comes to our city hall, that is where our representation shuts down. It's not just Spanish speakers. Most of our people in our community are unaware of what an alderman is or who they are. Before getting involved, my household had never heard from our alderman or knew who they were. Many people have told me about their concerns and the things they wish for our neighborhoods to change, but do not know who they can talk to. And that is something I strive to change for all of us. We all deserve to be represented and heard by the people who were elected to do so. I want transparency and communication in our government, and I plan to reach as many people in our community as possible during my term as alderperson. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Chasey. Chasey, sorry.
Good evening. I am Lori Chassie. I am
Speak
here
up.
to the first.
Can't hear you, Lori.
Hi, I'm Lori Chassie. I'm the incumbent in the first ward, and I forgot to push my button. My apologies. I have lived here for almost 40 years. I chose West Chicago as the city in which I wanted to raise my children because of the diversity and the vibrant community that I found here. My husband was employed until retirement here in the city of West Chicago, so we were quite familiar with the town. Since coming to West Chicago, I have served on almost every board and commission that there is. I have worked tirelessly since I got here, through the schools, through humanitarian service efforts, through civic involvement, taking me to the position of alderman. I love this city. I currently am serving as the chairman of the DuPage County Development Commission, which gives West Chicago a seat at the table for the selection and distribution of community development block grant funds, federal funds that have helped to pay for most of our major infrastructure projects in our community. It makes sure that we are represented. Those grants also assist our not-for-profit organizations addressing food and housing insecurity for our residents, and it's important that we get our fair share of those dollars. I will continue to work very hard. Thank you. Thank you. Candidate Detman.
Thank you. Thank you, first of all, to the League of Women Voters for having this forum. It is so awesome to see everyone come out for this. Amazing. I didn't expect to see the crowd. I am currently serving as Third Ward Alderman. I had one term there, and then I was, prior to that, appointed to the Plan Commission and Zoning Board of Reviews. So I was able to get a lot of experience there. I've had 10 years now with working with the city of West Chicago. I've made some great connections with residents, with my fellow council people. It's been an honor working with city staff. And if you don't know, the city staff is amazing. And I also serve currently on the finance and development committees, which gives me an opportunity to make some pretty amazing decisions for the city. There is an amazing amount of change that's happening now in the city, and I I'm so happy to be a part of that. My family has deep roots in this town. I've lived all my life in this town. And yeah, I just want to continue, and I hope for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Myers.
Hi there, my name is Matthew Myers. My wife and I have lived in West Chicago for 21 years. We have 3 kids that have attended this school. And so I wear 3 hats that I think make me uniquely qualified for this job. The first is my engineer hat. So I've been working professionally for 27 years as an engineer, and I understand that the best solutions come through creative, critical problem solving and bouncing your ideas off of other people. My second hat is my resident hat. So I have a neighbor that's quick to point out any codes that he thinks I've violated to the city. I read the codes, I read the municipal codes, and I took my case to the judge because I felt like I was right. Sometimes I won and sometimes I didn't, but I began to see how the code enforcement system works and where it's broken. And third is my businessman hat. So my family renovated the building that's now Camilla Cakes. As we worked through the permit process, I found it to be pretty painful, at least parts of it. I walked up and down Main Street and talked to other business owners and learned that my experience was not unique. So these are the experiences and skills that make me the right choice for Alderman. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Short.
Good evening. My name's Jeannie, and my family and I moved here in 2012. Once my youngest son was in middle school, I decided it was time for me to give back, so I was part of the Historical Preservation Commission. And then there was a note on City Hall's door one day that they were looking for someone interested in serving in Ward 6 because one of the aldermen at that point had stepped down. So I was appointed in 2018, re-elected in 2021, and I have to say it has been one of the best experiences of my life. And I hope to continue serving as Alderman in Ward 6 and bring, my talents and my past experiences, to continue in the role, as well as I think one of the things that makes this city so great are the people that want to represent it, that work for it, and it has been an absolute honor to be a part of it.
Thank you. And candidate Avina Soto.
Thank you, and good evening for everyone. I'm Carlos, a candidate for Alderperson, and I'm running because I care deeply about communities, specifically our community. I want to make it a better place to live, work, and raise a family. I've been living here in West Chicago for 11 years. I came to this country as a teenager, and I know how hard it is to start over. I see our problems. There are bad sidewalks, and taxes every year are getting higher and higher. But I also see our potential, and I'm gonna aim to fix the infrastructure, help small businesses, and make government more open and clear, more aware of where they spend, how they spend it. That's why I want everyone in our ward and the city to feel welcome and supported. I know that together we can build a brighter future.
Thank you. All right, we'll turn now to our first question, and it will go first to candidate Banis. What do you consider the 3 most pressing issues facing West Chicago today, and what specific actions would you take in your first year to address them?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm concerned with is we're losing population, and like the whole state is, but we also rely on a certain level of population to be home rule. And govern ourselves a little bit differently than some would have, in Springfield, have us do. I think we need to attract a dichotomy of businesses that will attract population, that will attract folks that come by for entertainment, and that will naturally increase population. Also relieve tax burden on folks. The second one is the fact that, well, as everybody says, taxes are too high. I recently voted against a tax hike, although there are times when you have to increase taxes. I just didn't think this was the time to do it. But I certainly would not be opposed to increased taxes if it goes for a good cause, and that's why I like to be the individual who is always the cost cutter, the tax investment representative for constituents.
Thank you. Same question, candidate Carreto Munoz.
So I think one of the main issues that our government needs to fix is the transparency between the people that are currently in office and then the public. For example, today I was looking on the website just to see things about our upcoming election. There's nothing on the website, but yet St. Charles has information about voting, early voting, who the candidates are. And I think that's a very big problem. A lot of people don't know that elections are currently happening, and I think it's because we're not very transparent with the people who live in our community, and then that's when language also comes up. A lot of people here speak Spanish, and yet we don't have very much representation in that way issue. Another thing is safety. A lot of people are very concerned about cars speeding down. I would like to know what City Hall is concerned, how would they look to fix that issue. There's lack of street lights. People want street lights. There's Route 38 in the town intersection, specifically in my ward, that people are very concerned about. Someone died a couple months ago. It's been an ongoing issue, and yet I don't see anything happening.
Thank you very much. Candidate Chassie.
Thank you so much. I think we have an issue of great importance, and that is the continuing minimizing of funds available to us through our state and federal bodies. The state continues to reduce our share of the municipal distributive fund, your tax dollars that come back to West Chicago. We also have an issue that we're facing, that the state of Illinois has determined to do away with the grocery tax, which might be a benefit to a lot of us. However, we need to recognize that that is a approximately $425,000 a year hit to the city of West Chicago. So I think as we go forward, we're going to have to look at increasing alternatives for developing different sources of funding. One of the things that we have undertaken is to, and just approved the other night, was an early retirement fund, or an early retirement program that some of our senior staff may opt into, which would help reduce some of the salary burdens. There are just a number of different things that we're going to have to look at. Before I stop, I'm going to just finish and say our staff has been remarkable at cost cutting and holding our costs down.
Thank you. Candidate Detman.
Thank you. Well, when I got involved in this in the first place, we were going through COVID, and small businesses were really struggling. I have a soft spot for small businesses for a number of reasons, but it's something that I felt like, I've always felt, at least in recent years, that our town has become kind of a town that you drive through. You don't stop here and do your shopping, do your, for certain things. And I really would like to see our downtown thrive. And I think the bigger picture of that is kind of all the plans that the city's been working on to holistically solve problems like better housing, better jobs, and just an overall feel of community, being able to walk downtown and patronize our town.
Thank you. Candidate Myers.
All right, 3 problems, 3 solutions, 1 minute. Got it. All right. Number 1, lack of population. I agree with Alderman Banis that West Chicago needs more people. The city has bought like 50 properties from the city hall all the way down to downtown. Those properties need to start getting turned over to private developers to make them into housing. There's already plans to make them multi-use facilities, so we need to be more aggressive about filling those spaces. Number 2, attracting businesses. So City Hall is not very business friendly. I know from experience getting permits is a bit of a pain. They are looking to basically have you present them the answers and they'll tell you why you're right or wrong. I think we should be much more friendly to bringing businesses into the area. There's a couple that have already left, or they decided not to come because it was too difficult. Number 3, communication. So we've talked a lot about lack of communication from the city. This is very easy. Post on every single social media network you can possibly find. X, Facebook, Instagram, whatever they come up with next. Just put it on every platform all at once. This is an engineering problem that can be solved.
Thank you. Candidate Short.
So something that I've been hearing around the table is about transparency, and what I would like to do is see more community involvement. And what I mean by that is the city website posts a lot of information, and I would love our city council meetings to have this type of turnout so our residents know what's going on. They can see it firsthand, as well as they are also video recorded now as well. As far as when it comes to business, I am in complete agreement with every person that's spoken that we do need to attract businesses into our community that will make us, as Alderman Detman said, a destination. If I could have it my way, I would absolutely love for our city, whether it's through the museum, partnering with the library, but to have a children's museum. We have one of the most diverse multicultural communities around. We also have a history, and I love our sign where history and progress meets. We need to enhance and build on that so people come to our town to visit our museum and see what a wonderful community we are.
Thank you. And candidate Avina Soto.
I agree with candidate Short. West Chicago is a community that is multicultural. However, making a community multicultural is should also mean that the people living in the city should feel like a community. And with the representation that we have and the community engagement, that's not really happening. There are like language barriers and ethnic barriers and cultural barriers that are preventing us to learn from one another, and that are preventing us to work together and to solve the problems. The problems are not going to solve themselves by just one of the ethnicities or just one of the minorities or the majority people here in Chicago. We need representation, and that representation begins with actually listening to the people. And once we listen to the people, we're going to get them more engaged with the city hall. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Alcantar Garcia.
I must agree with a few of the colleagues here. We do need to bring more business opportunities for small entrepreneurs. Here in West Chicago, we have, since we do have a multicultural, diverse community, everybody has, in their ethnic background, a talent. And they should be able to open a small business, a micro business here with us. That would attract others. We could be authentically and original to have our history and progress represented with all our ethnicity groups that we have. And another problem is, yes, the language barriers. And I would dedicate myself with my colleagues to be able to provide everything and do outreach, personal outreach to people, to bring them, to invite them to our community council meetings.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to turn to our second question now, and we'll begin this time with candidate Carreto Munoz. And the question is, getting a little bit more specific from that first one, how would you work to revitalize the downtown area and attract more visitors to West Chicago?
I think one of the first things that we need to do is look at how successful our neighbors have been, like St. Charles, Batavia, Geneva. When we talk about their downtowns, it's thriving. When people talk about these places, they know where they are. When I talk to people that I live in West Chicago, they're like, where is that? Because we have nothing in our downtown. So I really want us to bring businesses. I want us to support our businesses that are currently here. I want this place to thrive. We have a metro station right here, and I think we need to utilize more of its potential. We can drive in people from the city. We can drive people in from our neighboring towns to come visit us. We have our potential there. We just haven't been able to do it. I hear so many people talking about all the changes that we need to do with the current people in our council. But what are we actually doing? All I've been hearing for the past years is we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but I don't see any action, and I think that's where it needs to start. We need to stop making plans and actually start putting up actions. Let's talk to our neighbors and see how they've been doing it successfully, how to drive in people to have businesses here.
Thank you very much. Candidate Chassie.
I think that we do have some very wonderful businesses in our downtown who I think need to be supported. I think that we have instituted several programs very recently to support new restaurant building. We have several different programs to help bring businesses in. I will also address that downtown revitalization, we have talked to our neighbors, we have talked to professionals. It is a long-range plan. It is not a sprint, it is a marathon. We were advised and aggressively pursued purchasing properties to put together a development plan and option that would be attractive to developers coming in. That is why we have those properties. We bought them when they were blighted, when they were overcrowded, when they were illegally turned into 2 and 3 family residences. Some of the single family homes had a high call for service cost, and we bought them at a premium, or not at a premium, at a 20-year-ago price, a 15-year-ago price. Push comes to shove, it is the market that drives development. If development never happens for some reason, at the end of the day, we can sell those properties and will sell those properties when it becomes necessary, should it ever become necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Detman.
Yeah, I would encourage everyone to go online if you haven't and read through the plans. We have an award-winning comprehensive plan about the downtown. There have been surveys and input from probably some of you. I think that, part of the problem is look at the economic times we're in right now. Things are very costly, very expensive, and it's might be hard for a small business to get kick-started with some, issues that they're facing. However, the city is trying to become very innovative on attracting small businesses, to provide them a way to maybe fix up facades or build out interiors to try to help, these businesses start. But yeah, it's going to be a long haul. But West Chicago's worth it. We're worth the hard work that it'll take.
Thank you. Candidate Myers.
I'm not going to be able to take credit for this one because I talked to a very strong business leader in the audience, Dave Sabathny, about this a while ago. And one of the problems that I see is that the downtown businesses, they're all pulling in different directions. You have like vintage clothing stores, and you have a bar, you have salons, Mexican restaurants, we have a balloon store, we have a cake place. They're all kind of pulling in different directions, and what I feel like need is some kind of unifying vision for these downtown businesses to really push towards. For example, put together an event package for a quinceañera. So you have a place where you can buy a cake, you can buy a dress, you can get food for catering. You can basically put together your entire event in one spot. This is just one idea, but get a group of us together and really just task us with coming up with some creative solutions for this. It's not about throwing money at these businesses and saying, here's $10,000, make your business better. I think it's more about unifying them.
Thank you. Candidate Short.
So first and foremost, it is definitely not a race that you're going to win in 1 year or 6 months. It's a long-term goal and plan, and I think that our current city council, the staff within West Chicago, our mayor, have all really started that by attracting all these other businesses along along Enterprise Drive, like Amazon. There's different warehouses. I believe the other name is Suncast. So there is already steps in that direction. And if you look at our neighboring communities, those cities that developed their downtown, it wasn't over 1 year or 2 year. Some of them began in 1980, and they're still developing and growing, they're becoming bigger. So it definitely is something that is, if you were to take a moment and look at that strategic plan, this is what West Chicago is working on. And like everyone else, I really wish it could be faster because I'm not patient either, but there are absolutely some wonderful things to come as this gets moving along.
Thank you. And Candidate Soto.
Hello again. I agree with most of the candidates here. Developing towns and cities take a long time. It can be 20 or plus years make this happen. However, I also agree that making the people that want to open businesses or want to be entrepreneurs are going to have a hard time getting started. And we can also help them by giving grants and offering tax breaks if that helps. And then once they settle, we can start like charging for those after like they're settled. It can be the both ways. It can be open for like a big industry, big investments, and also the small ones. It doesn't have to be either or. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Alcantara Garcia.
Yes, I believe that would take time to develop. Yes, I do agree. I would want to look with the team, as a team, at what exactly has been the obstacles for people to come here and have a business, a small business, and any entrepreneur that has run into issues. And then look at ways that we can help more, bring down those obstacles. So we do have a thriving downtown. I would love to see a beautiful downtown with many small businesses that represent West Chicago, our community.
Thank you. And Candidate Banis.
Yeah, I've always said that diversity of businesses is one way to draw folks. So, Ward 7, the northernmost ward, is closer literally to St. Charles than it is to West Chicago. And I've always wanted to develop that link between West Chicago and Ward 7. We need parking space. We need or a PACE bus. We need to draw folks from Ward 7 down to our businesses in the city. One of the things we want to attract is entertainment businesses, and by doing that, you have a thriving downtown. People will visit, and you build from that. We got planes, trains, and automobiles, airport, major routes, and train. We're a distribution business's dream. We should pursue that.
Thank you. We'll turn now to our third question, and we will begin with candidate Chasey. Sorry, I'm gonna.
It's Chassie.
Chassie. Thank you.
Think of the car, think of the car.
You know what? And I said that earlier, and why I'm not thinking of the car, I can't tell you.
Just call me Lori.
Yeah. All right. Question number 3. With approximately 53% of West Chicago's population being Hispanic, how will you ensure effective communication with all of our constituents, including those who primarily speak only Spanish?
That has always been, certainly been a concern. One of the other issues, and I think you have to throw that in besides just the language barrier, is an inherent mistrust of government and working with government entities and agencies. One of the mechanisms I've used is continually reaching out to the Hispanic community leaders to help work with us, to bring people in. It's not good enough to simply have a translator because that does not address the issue of the mistrust. So I really look to people like Fernando Ramirez at the Mexican Cultural Center. I would encourage Julieta as well as to work with us to bridge those gaps. In years past, it was, Maria Trejo downtown and a number of other folks that we use to bridge that communication gap. We are doing much better with our translation of city meetings, and it is a work in progress, and it's something that needs to continue. I worked for many years in a children's advocacy center where many of our clients were Hispanic, and one of the things I am also aware of, unfortunately, is we can do a lot of written translation, but we have a lot of folks who don't necessarily are able to read and write in the Spanish language as well.
Thank you. Congressman, or Candidate Detman?
Not yet. I think, we've talked a lot about transparency and things like that, and that's an issue for people who don't speak English, I'm sure. But I think for all of us, the information is out there. You can go on our website, on the city's website, and have all of the information with a click of a button translated into Spanish or Polish or whatever. There's multiple languages on there. I think there's a lot of outreach that is focused on making sure that the Spanish community, is aware of what's happening. It is true, there is a mistrust of government. There's a feeling of, not a real connection. And that's a shame, and that is something that needs to be worked on. And, I think a way to do that is, go to the Latino supermarkets, go to their shops in town. There's some great little stores and things like that, and have a conversation.
Thank you. Candidate Myers.
May be obvious, but I'm not the best person to ask this question. I am not going to pretend like I know the answer to how to communicate because I don't speak Spanish. But what I would do in that situation is actually talk to a Spanish-speaking person. I would go to Carlos and I would say like, hey, how should we talk to people in West Chicago that don't speak English as a first language? I honestly, I wish I had a good answer for this, but I don't. I mean, I'm an engineer, so I'm going to say type it into ChatGPT and convert from English to Spanish, and then you're done. But I don't think that's a good enough answer. I would actually talk to, form a coalition, form a group of people that really care about this topic and figure out what to do.
Thank you. Candidate Short.
So one of the things that attracted me to moving to West Chicago was the dual language program. My older two sons, they spoke Spanish. They can also write it. They learned that at their other school. And my youngest son, we enrolled here because it was that immersion, that dual language. And I think that as people get to hear about West Chicago, that's one way we are going to help reduce that barrier of language, because it's our young children moving forward are immersed at it at a young age. So literally when my sons get together, I don't know what they're talking about because I don't speak Spanish, but I am so grateful that they actually have that language, and in their full-time careers and in their profession as human beings, they actually are better because they do speak a different language. And I just really want to promote it any way I can, but I think it's awesome.
Thank you. And Candidate Soto.
I think the problem must be solved with, once again, with creating community. Our city is a mix of cultures, and cultures don't assume in speaking the language. It doesn't summarizes in just like eating tacos or going to like the food festivals or going to like food stores. Cultures are more than language barriers and lack of understandings, like keeping us apart. People are mistrusting the government because most of the time they only speak in English, and the efforts are not really enough to try to cover those mistrusts. We can fix this. We can use more languages, including Spanish in the government. But in the West Chicago, we don't speak Spanish. There are also Muslims that are living with us. They speak Arabic, they speak Punjabi, they speak Hindi. There are people who speak Polish. We can translate to all of these languages. And it's not just speaking the language. I want to clarify once again. It's about learning the culture. When I came here to the U.S. when I was 16 years old, yes, I learned English, but it took me a while, and I'm still learning part of the American culture. That's how you will learn to live and like talk to one another. We need to be respectful of each other and see the differences as something really good for our community.
Thank you. Candidate Alcantar Garcia.
I agree with my colleague Carlos. We need to try to learn a little bit about the diversity community in West Chicago. We are, yes, primarily Latino, but there are other ethnicities that are growing and have existed since the history of our city. We need to learn. We need to learn how to have this outreach. I will speak for the Latino community. They are mostly working people, and the schedules for city hall meetings sometimes or public hearings are at times where they're working. And when they get home and they're very tired, if you ask them to look at the website, they might not because they're tired. So we need to try to also create a schedule or community forums for the diverse community that work very hard, and sometimes it's the weekends when they can come out and talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Banis.
I'm not an engineer, but a computer nerd. And so the easy answer, of course, is any browser would help you read any website. And ours is a great one in different languages, but that's kind of a cop-out, right? My solution would be to recruit business leaders in the community, to enact town halls where people are in a relaxed environment, maybe not a school like this, but homes, and reach out to people and invite them and have translators field questions, help us field questions. I think that's a great outreach. I'm a people person. And that's the solution.
Thank you. And candidate Correto Munoz.
I very much appreciate that we record meetings and then we have the website and that's able to translate into different languages. But it's more than just having a website where people can go and look at it. Like I heard before, some people might not be able to read Spanish, and that's also an issue. We need to be considerate of other people. And like how Matt said, I very much agree. We need to start talking to people who speak Spanish in our communities. As aldermen, go out, talk to the people who are very much involved in the community and see how ourselves and the Hispanic people can come together and like work on this issue of communication. Mistrust happens because we are not outreaching into the Hispanic community. It shouldn't just be going around and going into the stores and seeing people and talking. It really is a relationship that works both ways, learning a few phrases, like saying hello, how are you, like how's your day, stuff like that. That's what really helps build the foundation, and from that we can continue building our relationship.
Thank you very much. All right, well, turning to our next question, and we will begin with candidate Detman for this question. What specific methods will you use to proactively engage with residents in your ward to gather their input and keep them informed about issues affecting their neighborhoods?
Well, I have kind of an open door policy. People have called me on my phone and been able to discuss certain issues. If it's something I can't answer at the moment, I will get an answer immediately for them. It's fun to engage with people and see what their vision is for the city and get some different ideas. Even just doing this forum has been really an interesting eye-opener. So, just be available and, always be open to new suggestions.
Thank you. Candidate Myers.
All right, so I've already started a Ward 7 Facebook group. Unfortunately, I'm the only one on it yet, but I'm working on it. Okay, we got some time. So if I'm elected, one of the things I think is really important to me is to get to know everybody in my ward. I've already, through the process of campaigning, talked to 100, 200 people already, and some of them don't want to be contacted, especially by a politician. But some of them do, and everybody wants to be contacted in different ways. Some people don't like Facebook because, Zuckerberg, but they love Instagram. But everybody has their own way they want to be contacted. So I would meet them where they are, and again, I could put the same message on 10 different platforms if necessary. So it's really just about kind of going door to door, talking to people, finding out what's important to them.
Thank you. Candidate Short.
So I'm kind of old school in the sense that I like to knock on doors, and that's what I've done whenever there, and trust me, I've never gotten through all of Ward 6, it is a big ward, but when there have been important issues that have come to City Council, I'll use one that had to do with when cannabis became legal. My personal opinion was my personal opinion, but I walked around and talked to individuals and heard their stories and how they felt, and that's how I voted. Was that the people in my community, in my ward that I spoke with, they were, that was something they were very much against, even though personally, I have a different opinion. And the funny part is, I don't drink, I don't smoke, but it's just one of those things. I listened to what the people in my community wanted, and that's what makes the most sense, is actually knocking on the doors and, saying hello and getting their opinion.
Thank you. Candidate Soto.
Once again, I gotta say about community, caring for one another. Yes, knocking door to door is important, and somehow people are going to respond. Usually when they don't respond, it's because we're not speaking or we're not on the same page. It doesn't really matter about the same language. Pero hablando sobre el idioma, también es muy importante que las personas entiendan que no solamente estamos para apoyarlos a esas personas. Hay personas que no pueden votar, pero eso no significa que tengan menos voz. I'm going to say now in English. As a side comment, yeah, people who live without knowing how to speak another language, they go through that, like they get scared, they don't know what they're talking about. That's how they feel every day for every second of the day. And yes, we need to knock on doors and we need to go and meet the people and talk to them about how they want to reach out. We need to be on the same page. And there are many apps, and that's where teamwork is going to help. Creating apps probably.
Thank you. Candidate Alcandar Garcia.
When my colleagues and I from a community organization that we co-founded during the COVID era, we became from IDPH certified community health workers. And that the reason for the call from the state of Illinois for us to help, because we were the trusted messengers and we could come out to the community and have outreach about what was happening in that moment. Many of our minority groups were victims of fatalities and that's due to COVID, sadly. And this week, we developed outreach. We developed ways to knock on doors, to talk to people. At that time, it was difficult, but because of COVID, you had to isolate. But we could call people, we could email people, anything. A phone call was probably the best way to do it. So keeping contact with
Thank
the
you.
people.
Thank you. Candidate Banis.
I'm not going to pretend I remember the questions, because you're really
Absolutely. What specific methods will you use to proactively engage residents in your ward, gather their input, and keep them informed about issues affecting their neighborhoods?
Well, town halls, as I said, would be a great way. The problem is you have to find space for that. I've said this before, that the website is a wealth of information. I would encourage everyone here and those watching on TV to come to our city council meetings, the first and third Mondays of every month. We have a whole section that is dedicated to public participation. There's reach out, any condo board or just reach out to those folks. And of course, the city will have its website and the Instagram and Facebook venues. And I think we should pursue all of that.
Thank you. Candidate Carreto Munoz.
I do agree with what a lot of people are saying here. It's very important as older people to go knocking on doors. It might seem a little annoying to some people knocking on your door. Not a lot of people like talking, especially I know a lot of young people don't like to open the doors. So that's where I also agree. We also need to proactively reach out people on social media. We want to reach out people as much as possible, even if it just means you're walking in the afternoons, like the weather is getting really nice, just walking around your neighborhood and talking to people that are outside that are willing to listen for a little bit. But definitely, I think also something that we really need to focus on is young voters. We don't have very much young voter turnout, and that's an issue. We really need to start reaching them. If it means getting onto new platforms like TikTok, I know I checked the Instagram today. Last time it was updated was in November. We need to start keeping up with all of that, even if it means it's a lot more work. We really want to start reaching out people. If we start reaching out people, they're more likely to go to these city hall meetings and all of that, and more likely to check on the website, all of that. It really just starts by reaching out to people in every way possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Candidate Chassie.
couple of different things. I do have a Facebook presence. I also have several different text groups that I've put together for a couple of different neighborhoods for people who have wanted to participate. Part of our comprehensive plan and our outreach opportunities with our community, when we put that together, asked the community this very question, and what they wanted to see was more engagement through festivals, events, etc. And I think you've seen that happening in our downtown. And at every one of those activities, the aldermen are present. We have a city council booth there for people to come out and exchange information and leave us their contact information. We walk, we talk, we do all of those things. And that was in specific response to what the community asked us to do in order to be more engaged. Yes, I agree, knocking on doors, talking with people, being present in the community, all of those things are important for us.
Thank you so much. Turning to our next question, which covers neighborhood priorities. We'll start with candidate Myers. What do you consider the most pressing infrastructure needs in your specific ward, and how would you advocate for addressing those needs?
So the most pressing infrastructure project in our ward is kind of difficult because we have two very large subdivisions that are separated by like 5 miles. So it really depends on which one you're talking about. So I'm from the Meadowood subdivision. The biggest problem that we have is Klein Road is a tiny little road, and you have bikers, and you have pedestrians, and you have runners, and you have people walking dogs, everybody walking up and down this road, and it's basically a connector between Army Trail and North Avenue. So that needs a bike path, but it's a very, very long time coming. I would love to find out if there's some way to make some progress on this.
Thank you. Candidate Short.
So I'm happy to say in Ward 6, so many of the things that when I moved in that I thought, wow, my streets could really use a facelift, that's happening when it's coming to making sure that the water supply and all of that is safe. That's being tested and getting taken care of. I think right now one of the biggest things, and it kind of goes to what you were stating, I really do think that bicycle paths are something that we need to have. We have a lot of children in our ward that go to and from the high school to the middle school, as well as to Gary. And I'm very happy to say that, working with our city council on the Public Affairs Committee, that they did a comprehensive study of Forest Avenue where the children are crossing between Lehman and Gary School. And they did put up the walkway stop signs as an extra code of protection for the kids when they're going to and from school. But I do think that the bike paths are probably one of the biggest things that I'd like to see happen.
Thank you. Candidate Soto.
I completely agree with candidate Short. Yes, we live in the same neighborhood after all. I like to see bike lines and bike lanes being, and also like the ones that are like being respected by the people who drive. I also could say like I'd like some kind of like barrier or some kind of a more open, more wide sidewalks next to Melnor Boulevard or like 59 Road in here in West Chicago, because people tend to speed there, and a lot of kids like go close in those streets. So I think that's a really safety concern.
Thank you. Candidate Alcantar Garcia.
As I was knocking on doors for all of this, the major issue was indeed we need sidewalks, we need bike lanes, and maybe more stop signs. The major issue is where we're at in the first ward. I live on Center Street, but for some reason from 59 to get to Main Street, some cars make it really fast. And that is a major issue because we have school buses coming through, children that go to school. Some of us have loved ones with disabilities, and everybody speeding through, it can be a tremendous hazard. So I would like to see safer sidewalks, bike lanes as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Banis.
The portion of Ward 7 that I live in is Cornerstone Lakes. That's probably a bit younger than candidate Myers' area, but I would say our major infrastructure pain point would be roads. We need to have ours resurfaced, and I know they're going to be done. There's money allocated. I don't know if it's this year or next year, but I think that's something that needs to be done because our road was actually sinking in front of our house. We had to have the city come out and put like a little ramp, an asphalt ramp, so we didn't have to off-road every time we went to our garage. But the other thing that I'd like to point out infrastructure-wise is not necessarily in our ward, but it would be more parking space downtown so we can get Ward 7 folks down and participate in the businesses and the festivals and everything downtown.
Thank you. Candidate Carreto Munoz.
So what I've been hearing about bicycle paths and all of that, I very much agree. I really like going out on my bicycle with my family, so that's something I'd like to see, just not even in my ward, but in a lot of our wards together. And one of the main issues that I see and the concerns in my neighborhood is the Route 38 in town intersection. Like I mentioned earlier, we did have an accident where someone died a couple of months ago. There's been multiple accidents happen, just like how it's on 59, so many people speed down 38. And when we're trying to turn left, it can get very crowded and traffic builds up and it's very hard for people turning right as well. And that's something I'd like to see if possible, do some change with that. Just because I do live close to that area. So that's a road that I very much frequent. And it's very hard for a lot of the other people to having to go all the way down to Joliet Street just to turn left. It can be complicated. We live on the side of the railroads. If there's a train passing by, it gets really hard. So that's something I'd like to see improved.
Thank you. Candidate Chassie. In the first ward, I hear, there are two things people are always concerned about, sidewalks and roads. And I absolutely agree, bike lanes is something, better transportation, better walkability, better cycling are projects that we are working on. We've met with the county talking about extending potentially bike paths from the 7th Ward north-south down through town to improve that north-south. That is one of those projects that needs intergovernmental cooperation. Part of it would be West Chicago's responsibility. Part of it would be the county's. That's where it's critical that we have good relationships with the surrounding governmental bodies. We do have a plan for road repairs. We do have a plan for sidewalk repairs. It's timed out, it's sequential, and it's just something that we need to do a better job keeping up on. That's why we need those community development block grants from the federal government. So everybody call your state and federal representatives and tell them to stop turning off the money faucet. Thank you. And Candidate Detman.
Well, something I'm really excited about, and I think it could solve some of the problems about safety concerns and things like that, is we seem to have more and more, to me anyways, it seems we have more and more young families out with their kids, walking their dogs, that sort of thing, kids on bikes, my little neighbors on bikes. And there's a community park project that's in the works, kitty corner to the high school. And I'm hoping to see the day that gets developed, and I know it's going to get used like crazy because people love to be out with their kids and enjoying a beautiful park area. And we have great parks in this town, but to have one right in our neighborhood, that would just be fantastic.
Thank you. Well, that was our last question, so it's now time for closing statements. And candidates, you'll have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Can I have a question?
Certainly.
Can I make a rebuttal remark about something? Or is that allowed?
No, it's not.
I thought we
But you
had a
can,
minute for rebuttal.
you can include whatever you want in your closing statement. So, all right. So for closing statements, let's see, we will be starting with Candidate Short.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to come out this evening. And I have absolutely enjoyed my opportunity to serve as an alderman in Ward 6. I hope to continue to do so. If that's not in the cards for me, then there are definitely commissions and other areas in the city which I plan on offering my services to, because I think one of the biggest parts to me as a citizen in the community as being a part of it is to be contributing back. And when you work as an alderman and you work with the city and you see how much the city does for you, I definitely have such an appreciation and respect for our City of West Chicago employees, board members, commissioners, and so on, that I want to continue to give back.
Thank you very much. Candidate Soto.
I'm running for other person, not for myself, but for all of us, for the ward more than anything. For the families working hard, for the kids who deserve a better future, and for the seniors living there who also want to feeling safe and feeling respected. Together we can build a West Chicago where everyone feels belonging, and I will fight for our community to help small businesses and make sure every voice is heard in the city hall. Not caring about whether they speak the language or they're saying my same culture. I don't have all the answers. That's not a reason why I run. I am good at listening. I am fast learner, and I work hard in a team, and that's how we solve problems. This election is about us, once again, the community we want to create, and that's a place that is safe, strong, and full of life. I ask you for your support for the future we all want. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Alcantar Garcia.
I would like to thank everyone that came out. It's a huge turnout. Thank you all. I want to say, please vote for me. I really believe it's time for change. There are so many things that we could do together as a team at the city council for our community. If I am entrusted with your votes, I will thank you greatly. I'll make sure I do what is expected from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Candidate Banis.
In the 5 years I've served Ward 7, it's been a distinct honor, and I've discovered that the folks who do this out of a robust love for the city and its people. I would encourage everyone again to come out to the committee meetings, which is where most of the work gets done, and to participate. I mean, that's the whole thing about the American experiment, right? Can the common person self-govern? And the answer is yes, but you have to participate. So, you know, we pulled out the chair, please sit down. And I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Just to see the number of folks here is very encouraging, and I hope that people are getting more and more involved.
Thank you very much. Candidate Carreto Munoz.
I want to thank everyone for coming out here and listening to all of our voices. It really means a lot to all of us, especially seeing the community come out in support of our elections. Just specifically, around 1,700 people are registered to vote in my ward, but in the past 2 elections, less than 100 people actually come out to vote. So I really do hope that just by me outreaching to people, I really hope to see our numbers go up in regards to people coming out to vote, because it starts with small steps. Once people come out to vote, that's when they start getting more involved in the government, and that's something I really want to see all of us continue to thrive and make West Chicago a better place for all of us. You know, our government must hear the voices of all the people that contribute to West Chicago, regardless of the language or voting status. I think we all deserve to be heard, and just by voting, it's a small step in the right direction. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Candidate Chassie.
Thank you. It has been my distinct honor to serve the city of West Chicago in all my different capacities, and I hope to be able to continue to do that. We have made significant strides and significant changes to move ourselves forward. We have become more transparent. We have done a little better with business engagement, and we will continue to improve. We are not static. We always live and learn and move forward. If you entrust me with the ability to continue to serve you, I will assure you that I will continue to work tirelessly to make sure that West Chicago receives its fair share of the resources available through this country and state, and that we foster economic growth in our community, that we foster engagement with our community, and that we make sure that West Chicago is a place where everyone can thrive and survive. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Detman.
Yeah, it's been really a pleasure serving in this role for the past 4 years. I've learned so much, and I've been able to contribute more than I thought I would even be able to. It's been an absolute honor, and I hope to continue. What my message is to you, besides voting for me, is that would really love to see everyone make sure you, use the stores downtown. We do have some new businesses downtown. Let's see them thrive. Let's see them, thrive so much it makes other people want to come here and also have their businesses here. Come here to live and, enjoy our festivals. And it's a wonderful town, and I hope I can continue to serve it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Myers.
So we've talked a lot tonight about ourselves, like our ideas, what we think we should do, like what we think is the best for the city. But this election is about you. What do you want? What matters to you? There's a lot of noise in national and state politics, but the decisions made by your local officials are the one that affect you on a day-to-day basis. And these should be the people that you trust to make the right decisions. So my family, we are firm believers in giving more than you can take. Or giving more than you take. Our family volunteers in the community. My wife works at the school. We own a building downtown. So in every way, we are invested in West Chicago. So if you elect me, my approach is to treat every decision I make at City Council as important as if I were making it for my own family.
Thank you very much. Please join me, audience, in thanking the candidates for being here this evening. And on behalf of the community, thank you for being with us. Our democracy thrives when all of us are engaged. Attending or watching a candidate forum is an excellent way to be empowered to join discussions on local issues and make your voice heard on Election Day. We hope that each and every one of you will vote and inspire your family, friends, and neighbors to do the same. Information on how and when to vote can be found at vote411.org and the League of Women Voters of Wheaton website and social media. We hope that you will take advantage of early voting, which started yesterday, and since Election Day, April 1st, falls during spring break, take advantage of those early voting sites. Recording of this forum can be found on the League of Women Voters of Wheaton website. Good night, and to the candidates, best of luck on the campaign trail.